you so much for coming on our YouTube channel, which is called Purpose, Calling, and Gifting. And I'm so glad today that you are my special guest. And I just want you to introduce yourself to our lovely viewers.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Drea, and I am a singer and songwriter and performer from Perth, Western Australia.
Ah, nice. Okay, let's just dive into the question.
Sure thing.
And yeah, I just want to ask one of my questions is how do you define purpose for yourself in your own word?
Me. Um, this is something that I've had to think about for a very long time, actually, over the
Yeah.
last few years. So I obviously purpose for me has to be God given, and I think
Yeah.
about it this way. It's like, what was I made for? There's a
Hmm.
song with that title, which is a brilliant song, but what was I made for? And I think about
Hmm.
what are the things that come naturally to me that I don't have to work so hard to do.
Hmm.
And those are the things that God has given you. So what we need to do is find those
Yeah.
things and then
Hmm.
enhance them.
Oh
And when you
wow.
find that, then you can find your purpose. I think
Uh
anyway.
yeah, that's true. That's a very good definition. And I just wanted to say, how did you discover your gift slash purpose?
Um, it actually took a lot of trial and error and a lot of back and forth. I grew up in a very musical family and a very outgoing family.
Mm,
Um, but I was always very interested in sport. I loved academics,
yeah.
and I still do now. So I never really had a purpose per se. I was
Oh.
just, I had giftings in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started singing, obviously in church. And then I
Mm.
started to do actually, I had a moment with my family today, and they reminded me of a song that I released when I was 14.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and it just like it slipped my mind, but I listened to it again, parts of it again today, and I was like, oh wow, like I've been doing this forever, and I didn't realize. So
Oh
I'd
wow.
always been doing music, and it was always
Mm-hmm.
part of my family, always part of my life, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that music is sorry the vehicle, but my actual purpose, I believe right now, is to actually mentor people
Oh,
through
okay.
music. So
Oh.
I teach singing, but
Mm-hmm.
singing is like the teaching singing is the vehicle, but what I
Yeah.
actually do is I mentor my students
Oh.
around life. So a lot of my students are primary school age and high school age,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be a very rocky time for
But
kids.
yeah, that's
Especially girls. Like I teach a lot of girls, and all the things that I wish that someone had told me, I try to tell my students. I'm like,
oh.
yes, I'm teaching you singing, blah, blah, blah. That's great. Make sure your technique is good and perform and all this. But it's more like believe in the gifts and talents that God has given you.
Mm-hmm.
You are special, you are neat, you are unique, you are kind. Make sure you speak to yourself that way. Know that there is a special place for you. You might not know it now. You might not
Yeah.
see it in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You might see it 10 years from now. And that's what happened to me. I didn't think that I was going to be teaching singing in schools or to students. And I've been a singing teacher for coming to 9 years now. And I've journeyed with some students for 7 years, 7 or 8 years, and
Mm.
just watching them grow up and having their parents come to me and be like, thank you for being such a constant and an encourager and like a motivator for them to keep doing the arts, but not just the arts. You're teaching them how to live life in a certain way. And
Oh,
I have been getting that comment quite a fair bit. And I know that is part of what God has for me for
mm.
my purpose.
Oh
So it
wow.
was a lot of trial and error. If you asked me this question 10 years ago when I was finishing high school, I would have been
You
like, I don't know, I'm just going to go to
mm.
uni, do something. And like, yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been such a fun one and fulfilling one as well. So
Oh
that's
wow.
my thing on purpose.
Oh wow. So oh amazing. And I just want to say another question is like What or who inspired you to start your journey in music or your journey even in mentoring and stuff?
I think I always have this answer, but it is my family. My dad is probably my biggest fan. He's not very out there with it, but he's so supportive in the behind the scenes. I can't
Yeah.
thank him enough for what he's done for me and my siblings. So
Mm-hmm.
he plays assortment of instruments. He's a producer as well and does a lot of things with church. Um, and so growing up, he'd always had a vision for the family that we would do things with music and build bridges through music. And as a kid, I was like, "Ugh, whatever, this guy's just, what is he talking about?" But as I'm growing older, like the vision that he had set when he and mum got married, I see it now in my siblings and I. And I'm like, wow, that's really interesting because he knew his purpose and he
Mm-hmm.
created it into a vision and he did all the things around it and now he's seeing the fruit of it. So
Wow.
he motivates me to put my best foot forward in music and in
Mm-hmm.
anything that I do, because you never know where it's going to take you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think he would have thought that any of his kids would be doing the things that they're doing right now. But because he
Oh,
just trusted and believed in God and just kept going, he's such a hardworking man.
mm,
Um, Not only just for the family, but for the people around him. Like, he cares so much and he shows up. That's
mm,
like a huge thing. He shows up. Even if I'm
wow.
having a small gig somewhere and I've talked about it, there's one time he took time off work, took an extended lunch break to come and see me sing with my band in the city. And I was like, you didn't have to do that. And he was like, no, I want to come and support you. And he's done that for my brother as well. He's traveled to every city that my brother's playing currently with a Tina Turner the musical.
Oh,
And he goes every time. And when my sister's DJing, he shows up too. And it's just, so yeah, my dad is definitely my biggest motivator, and my mom too. Like, my mom is, she just loves it. She just loves being there, and
get back in. Right.
she loves it. She's like, yep, that's my daughter, those are my kids.
Oh,
But definitely my parents are my biggest motivators, and it's never been forced. I think
yeah.
they had always seen something special in
Mm,
me and in my siblings, and they have done everything in their power to make sure that we are uplifted and supported in that. So yeah.
oh,
And
wow.
for motivational speaking, that kind of just came after
Yeah.
a while. It was never something that I wanted to do and I never had an interest in,
Mm,
but after going through things in life that are quite unique as, a black woman, as an
mm,
artist, as someone who is an academic as well, and I just started to speak to people and
oh,
speak to teenagers and kids about what I do.
mhm.
It's not even what I did, is what I currently do. And I
Yeah.
think being able to journey alongside them. So, like, for them, I can speak to them, but I'm actually experiencing these things in real time and I'm taking them along the journey
With
with me.
wow.
That has such a powerful impact for me, because I'm like, oh no, I'm not just telling stories. Like, I'm actually living this out. And then for the kids to see it as well and have a personal relationship with me, because then
Yeah.
you know how, like, you have a motivational speaker and you never speak to them and you just
Yeah.
see them online or you see them at a presentation and then you
Mhm.
never touch base with them again. Whereas I've had my students be like, no, we've seen what you're doing, and then you come back and you tell us all the lessons that you've learned, and then you,
Mhm.
you give us advice, and then we take that advice and we can use it, and then we see a different outcome. And I love that so much. I'm like, if my only role in this life, my purpose is to help these
Yeah.
young kids, especially young women, just travel the narrow road, I'm happy.
That's I'm done. I just love what you said, like so you're trying to say like all the family are in music.
Yes, my whole family is.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
very special.
Oh wow, that's cute. And how did your background shape the kind of music that you create today? And also, is it like only Christian music or like different genre of music?
Yeah, so I grew up on a lot of gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and classical music, actually, because I played a classical instrument, played the viola for about 10 years. So a
Yeah.
lot of, um, when I say gospel music, it's a fusion between jazz and a bit of rock and CCM, contemporary. And I was really into pop music, still am, as a kid.
Mm.
And I started listening to R&B and a bit of hip hop. And then my brother started studying jazz, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because he would play the song, so I would listen to that as well. So a lot of the music that I write is quite R&B
Oh yeah.
focused, but the techniques, the singing techniques that I use are more gospel
Oh
um, influenced, and then
yeah.
I rap as well, just
Oh.
because I like
Oh.
it and it's really fun. um, and I do a bit of both. So a lot of my songs, it's really funny. My EP that I released in
Mm.
2023 is very gospel coded.
Oh yeah.
Was kind of going through things, being like, God, what's going on? I don't understand it. So I wrote songs based on that. And a lot of the
Mm.
songs that I write now, even though they might be deemed like they're not really worship songs, they're not really
Yeah.
gospel songs. Most of the time, like 98% of the time, there will be a biblical influence in there.
Yeah. Oh,
I have a song with my friend Maddox called Soul of the Core, and my brother picked it up straight away. He was like,
oh.
how have you made a song that's got nothing to do with
With
your faith link into it? I was like, because I have to. So
uh,
essentially, the line that Maddox sings is no longer hiding from me. So the first line of my rap was no longer hiding from me, unlike the way Adam and Eve were hiding behind the tree. And
wow.
you just got to work it in, and I try to as much as I can with the songs that I write.
Yeah.
um and like Bible verses, and I'll make sure they fit into the theme of the song. It's a really fun process. And
Wow.
so I write a bit of both. Like
Mm.
I wouldn't even say it's not really non-Christian. It's just like motivational, kind of
Motivate.
easy listening music, and then
Mm.
gospel stuff. But whatever comes to mind and whatever's fun to sing is what I write.
That's good. And I wanted to say like where do you find your inspiration for your lyrics or your melodies? Yeah.
um, Lyrics, I always say I feel like I write like a 4-year-old. Um, it's there are some songwriters that are so good, and they just get such an abstract concept, and the way that they write is just so beautiful and so poetic. That's not
Yeah.
me right
Oh.
now. I am very straight to the point. This is what's going on. No cryptic messages. It's just really simple lyrics that just tells people what's going on in my heart, or what's going
Mm.
on in the situation of the song. Um, I'm trying to play around more with more singable lyrics
Yeah.
so people can remember songs. And melodies, I kind of just my gauge for melodies is if I'm recording and
Yeah.
I've recorded a verse or a chorus and the producer's working on it, if they start humming the melody, then
Yeah.
I know I've done the right thing because it's
Oh.
sticking in someone's brain. So that's my
Yeah.
gauge normally.
Oh. And then I wanted to ask Arce, what has been the most memorable moment in your music career? Like the thing that you remember the most?
Oh, I know that everyone will probably be wanting be like, oh, Australian Idol.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
That's not my most memorable moment. My most memorable moment, it actually has to be watching my students do their recitals for their
Aw,
year 11 and 12 exams, as well as my own students when I put on my own recital for them, because
yeah,
I get to see their progress from the start of the year or the start of the term until the performance. And I
yeah.
know how hard they've worked. It is such a fulfilling feeling when they
Aw,
get up there and they conquer their fears and they nail it and they come off stage and they're beaming. Like that for
yeah.
me, oh, it's the
It's every.
best feeling ever. It's everything because I'm like,
Ah,
I know I've done my job as a teacher to
yeah,
motivate them and to help them practice and give them tips and tricks, but then seeing the growth and the belief in themselves, that you
yeah.
can't, there's no price for that for me.
Oh wow, that's so
Yeah.
amazing. Like that's why I think I'm like maybe she would say American Australian Idol.
Uh, no, that it's, I mean, that was great. And that was
Yeah.
really cool experience. And I'm really glad I did it. But I think even from that, the most memorable thing from that moment was seeing my communities come together. I had so much support from everybody in Perth, in
Yeah.
Nigeria, Jamaica, London, Singapore, literally all over the world, who were tuning in and trying to find out what was going on. And I just, at that moment, I realized how loved I was, and like how much love people had for my family. And like, regardless of what had happened on TV and with the show and the background of it, that in itself is
Yeah.
it's such a powerful thing. Like, community and people coming together and supporting each other is just so important, and we don't do it enough in life, and especially not in the entertainment industry. So if anyone did watch Australian Idol and you did see me there, any friends and family that are watching this, I always say it, but thank you so much. Like, it filled my
Wow.
heart to know that people care enough to take time out of their day to see what's going on. And it's like, I mean, it's really cool to be like, I know that person. It's like, yes, yes, you do. So yeah,
Oh,
it's awesome. Community.
yeah. Thank you. And I would just say, like, what ways have music helped you discover or align with your purpose?
Um, I think for me, music is very much expression. So when I was younger, I mainly sang in church, and I sang
Yeah.
in a community choir from when I was like 8. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, every Saturday we'd have rehearsal. And I'm like, I just want to run around the church with the other kids. Like, and my dad was like, no, you have to stand here and sing. I'm like, how is this fair? I don't get it. They all get to run around and eat
Yeah.
biscuits and just muck about. And I hated it for so long. I was like, this is so unfair. But from
Mm-hmm.
that moment, it built discipline. It built, it was character building. And it was
Wow.
just being like, okay, there's going to be times when even in your purpose, things are hard. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, with music, you can practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, and you will
Mm-hmm.
still have so much practice to do.
Oh, yeah.
So in that, I've I used to be such a perfectionist when I was younger. Everything had to be perfect, otherwise I'd have a meltdown. So even with music, um, and that I know that that's part of my purpose. God
Mm-hmm.
has used that vehicle to undo me and then redo me. So
Yeah.
it shake away bad habits, shake away negative thoughts about myself, shake
Mm.
away traumas of different things, and being like, if I'm not the best, then I'm not good enough, and all those kinds of things. And through the journey with music, especially, it's like, I don't have to be at 100%. I don't have to be at 150% all the time. If all
Yeah.
I have is 20% for that day, and I give all that 20%, then I've
Wow.
given my 100%, and that is okay.
Wow.
So for me, that, and knowing, and like for everybody listening, just knowing that even in your purpose, you will have days of like incredible moments, and days
Mm-hmm.
of low. That doesn't mean that you're not walking in your purpose. It just means that you're a human being.
Yeah.
And it is
True.
okay.
Wow, that's so true. It's not every time that you will always have the high moment. Sometimes it will be low. That's life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And you have to have the lows to
Mhm.
appreciate the highs. But
Yeah.
and this is something that I learned over last year, especially. It's like, no matter what happens to you, good or bad, there's always a
Yeah.
lesson. It's either
You're,
reinforcing what you've learned, or it's teaching
mm,
you something new. So if you
uh,
frame your mindset to have that, you will see there is something to gain from absolutely everything in life.
I think I have to write that in my book because sometimes I go
Oh, trust me, even me, I say it now, I forget.
like, what
Ah,
have forsaken me?
I'm like, why am I in the trenches right now? What is going on? This is not fair. But then
Oh,
you come out on the other side and you're like,
yeah.
oh no, I needed to learn that, because now I know this is
Mm-hmm.
what could potentially happen. It's made me
Yeah.
stronger. It's made me
Yeah.
respect myself more. And it's
Mm.
made me realize that God actually has the best intentions for you.
Oh,
So even when you think things are good, He's got something better.
oh,
And
wow.
you just have to trust that. And it's the hardest thing. Oh, it's so hard. And your
It's
mom
so
needs to
hard.
say, I'm trying to, anyway.
I'm like, what?
What is going on?
Ah, thank you so much. And also, even we talk about some challenges, the
Mm.
next question: have you faced any challenges or setback, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, it's a big question. Um, I'll be honest with you, the entirety of last year was a massive challenge.
Um,
After being on TV and then coming back and just kind of seeing and experiencing a few things that I was like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that. It's very
oh,
interesting that things are still happening like this in the time period that we are, considering the context and the background. And just it knocked my confidence a lot as an
oh,
artist
mm,
and as not so much as a teacher, but as an artist, as a writer, as a performer. I was kind of like, is this what I'm supposed to do? So this is where I was questioning my purpose again, which is what I was
oh,
talking about, the low moment. So
mm,
2024 was a very low moment for me.
mm,
And usually I just like skip over
mhm.
and just like try to get to the bubbly and the joy.
Oh,
But for the
yeah.
first time in my life, I sat in the mess and I
Wow.
sat in the ugly and I didn't hide away from it. And that was so hard for me. It was so
Wow.
hard. And luckily I had an amazing community. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
My family, my girlfriends, my band, and just like people in general checking in on me because I
yeah.
don't
Oh,
normally go or talk about what I'm going through, but it
mm,
was to the point where God was like, you need to understand that I have built you for community and you need to use that community to get you through
oh,
this. So I was like,
wow.
I really don't want to do this. But,
Oh, yeah.
but by the grace of God, we are here.
Oh,
Um, and I value my community so much more. Even if at this present time, as humans are, we rub against each other and
mhm.
we have friction. The value of community has been it's so much stronger. It was actually a prayer point that
Mm,
I had at the
yeah.
start of last year. I was like, God, show me who my community are. I
Wow.
didn't mean break me down to my absolute like
What?
least. But if that
Yeah.
was the only way I was going to learn that lesson, then that was the only way I was going to learn that lesson. And my friends and my family, they showed up so
Oh, wow.
incredibly. And it's like, there's that verse in Proverbs where it's like, a friend is closer than a brother and they will be with you through adversity. They were every single one of them. They would
Wow.
check in on me, they would call, they would take me out, they'd be like, just sit and cry. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, let me do it. And so, yeah. So, challenges from
mm,
last year and how I got through them was through my community and my best friends. Incredible, incredible humans. And I love them
mm.
so much. And I'm so grateful for
Awesome.
them.
Like having a community is actually the best. Like, that's what God gave them. Having
It's so
close,
important.
yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you overcame the obstacle that you went through. I'm very glad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And sorry to add, for anybody who's watching who doesn't have a community,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid to reach out to people who
Yeah.
you would normally not reach out to. That was something that I experienced. There were people that I would talk to, but I was
Mm-hmm.
never like, you know. And
Yeah.
then I opened up to them, they opened up to me, and we created a special bond.
Oh.
And you have to just realize pretty much everyone's going through it. Like things are
Mm,
happening in
mm,
everybody's life. And it might just be you have to take that step to reach out to that person and you'll build a friendship over healing, not the brokenness, but over healing from whatever hurt that you've experienced. So
uh,
just take it like we might not have your community now, but they
yeah.
will come. They will come, but you also have to be open to seeking them. And I know that's hard. Making friends, it's
Ooh.
very hard, but it is a great skill to have. So
Yeah.
I want to keep praying for whoever's watching this. If you don't have your community, that you find your community soon. They love you,
Uh,
they cherish you, and they uplift
yeah.
you. You will find
Yeah.
them. All right.
Like I feel like you like making friends. I feel like it's the hardest. And like when I do make friends, I'm like, do I want to go out? I just want to go home.
Oh, I'm a low maintenance friend. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm inside my house.
Oh
If
yeah,
I'm not working, I'm
yeah.
inside my house. If I'm not at church, I'm inside my
I,
house. That's it.
so true. Yeah. And the other question: why is it important for people to discover their purpose? I don't know.
Ooh. I have a few things I can touch
Ah,
on.
okay.
I think obviously from a faith perspective, we are
Yeah.
all very different people.
Mm-hmm.
We all, as Christians, I believe, we all have the same goal of bringing God's kingdom to earth. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no one way of doing that. That is
Yeah.
why we're all different. So for you to find your purpose means that you are finding your God given special thing, your uniqueness,
Mm-hmm.
bringing
Oh,
that to the world to bring others to Christ. That is
wow.
essentially what we're supposed to do. The way that I do it won't be the same that you do it, but we all have the same end goal. It's like, how do I explain this? Troubleshooting. We all
Mm-hmm.
have different ways of reaching the answer to a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole goal is to reach the answer to the problem.
Wow.
So we all, our end goal is to make sure that we are loving God and loving others, bringing his
Mm-hmm.
kingdom down to earth. How we do that is up to what God has like deposited in you. For me, it's
Ah,
music. For other people, I know it's taking care of children. For other
wow.
people, I know it's making project managing and event planning. For other
Mm-hmm.
people, I know it's sewing clothes and being creative in that space.
Yeah.
For other people, it's being fantastic doctors and nurses.
Oh,
For other
yeah.
people, it's just being a solid friend and a listening ear. There's so many ways that you can find your purpose, and it might not be your actual like 9 to 5 job.
Mm.
Like you can have your thing that makes you money and makes like helps you live, but
Yeah.
find where your passions are, find where your purpose is, and run to that as well. You could do both at the same time. So
That's
yeah.
so. Oh, that's a good one. And then the last question was, what advice do you have for our viewers?
Um, so, especially
Mhm.
in finding your purpose or just in general, if there is
Mhm.
something that you want to do or you feel led to do, look for a mentor in that space. There's a
Mhm.
reason why God has given us generations of people with either within your
Yeah.
family, in your community, in your church, or if you just feel led, go and
Mhm.
speak to someone and be like, hey, can we go out for coffee or a meal? And I just want to pick your brain about the things that you faced and how you
Mhm.
overcame them and any advice and ask them about finding their purpose because everybody's story with that is different. Um, and also, if you feel there's something deposited in your heart, write it down.
Mhm.
Number one, it might not
Yeah.
happen right then and there, and don't be afraid to dream big. Don't be
Mm.
afraid to dream big. I think we are very quick to put limits on ourselves. Me, I am the president of that club. You're like, why would I want to do that? That seems so unattainable and so unnecessary and so
Oh,
extra.
wow.
And
Mhm.
I was like, I can't do it. Like, why would I do that? But the more you allow space, the more
Mhm.
your mind, your heart, and your spirit is open to God using you. If you had told
Wow.
me 10 years ago that I was going to go on TV and then get messages from young Black girls being like, thank you for representing us, you motivated me to continue doing what I'm doing, would have never believed you. Been like, why would I do
Oh,
that? That's so unlike me. I don't want to go on a TV show. That's gross. But God has a funny way of doing things. A hilarious
wow.
way of doing things.
That's
And he opened up
great.
such, it was a big door and it had many, many drawbacks and many, many challenges. But the way that it's
Mhm.
impacted and served others is more than I could ever
Mm.
ask for. So dream big, be extra
Oh,
with your thinking because that could be the
wow.
thing that sets you off into finding your purpose. Don't limit
Oh,
yourself. Do
wow.
not limit or box God because He can do exceedingly and
Oh,
abundantly more than we can ever think or imagine. So,
oh wow. Oh, thank you so much, Drea. Like actually you just
anyways.
motivate. It's like at times at times I do hope, like I actually was thinking about something. Like I wanted to do something and I was like, God, I think this is too big for me. I don't want to handle it. But like you actually like speaking now, I'm like, you know what? I think this is God. I'm going for it.
Yay!
I am
Do it, do it,
going
do it, do
for
it, do
it.
it. Go for
Thank you
it. Go
so
for it.
much.
No
Thank
worries at
you
all.
much. I'm so happy, like, for meeting you on the group and like just getting to know you. You are such an amazing person, and
Thank
hopefully,
you.
like one day we can actually meet in person. And
Yes,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. Thank you so much, Drea.
No
See
worries at
ya.
all.